It's time to talk about the 5 best things and the 5 worst things about College Football 26. I've been playing the game for a bit now, and I think I've got a good grasp on the things I personally like the most about it and the areas that I still think need some work. And this is how I like to do my reviews, because over the years I've grown to learn that people view these games very differently. Things I care about, others may not, and vice versa. So that's why I like to talk about best versus worst, because you may be looking for one specific thing in the game, and if that one thing is still lacking a little bit, then you don't really care about the other stuff. Now, I still do have a few copies left that I'm giving away. Go to my social media if you want a chance to play the game for free. So let's start off with the 5 best things. Number 1, it's still gameplay for me. They nailed it last year, and I think this year it's still really good. Now, last year versus this year, I do think there's some things that were better about last year's gameplay, but there's also some things that's better this year. Overall, it still has the college football feel, which I think is what a lot of us liked about the game last year. It's fast, it's snappy, the left stick control is very good and responsive, the big plays are there, and the electric players really stand out. The ball trajectories are still really good. The tackling saw an upgrade this year with the physics-based tackling system, which I think is a big plus, and they overhauled QB animations, so now they look a lot more realistic. However, the game does feel just a tad bit slower than it was last year, and the ball carrier moves don't seem quite as explosive, whereas the left stick control I think feels better and smoother than it did last year. So even though the game slowed down just a little bit and the ball carrier moves aren't quite as explosive and exaggerated as they were last year, the fact that the left stick is smoother and more responsive, in my opinion, still makes it easy to make people miss in the open field and create those big plays. The defense is still not that great in the game. I think it actually got worse in some ways, which I'll talk about later in the video, but overall, if I'm just judging the gameplay from top to bottom, it's still one of the strongest points of the game. Number 2, presentation. Honestly, this might be my favorite thing about the game this year, even over the gameplay. Presentation was pretty good last year, but they knocked it out of the park this year, in my opinion. They updated so many of the team introductions this year so that not as many teams have more generic ones. They even updated ones for the bigger schools to add more details to them. They introduced the new nighttime runouts that have light shows and drone shows for a number of the big teams to make it feel more epic. They added a lot more crowd chants. They added a lot more licensed music like Mr. Brightside, Enter Sandman, 7 Nation Army, and much more. They added a lot more band music. I mean, Auburn even plays the swag surf before kickoff. They added over 30 new mascots to the game. I mean, I could go on and on. The commentary, while still lacking in areas, got a lot better than last year, in my opinion. It's a lot more exciting than last year, but I do still think this is an area that they can work on and make better than it is. But the fact that they still made improvements there, I think, is a good thing. All of the pregame graphics, they've added a ton of diversity to that, so it doesn't look the same every game. The audio of this game is just simply top notch, and every time I hop into a game, I'm amped up because there's just so much going on and it feels like college football. Now, we're going to continue on, but really quickly, I have to shout out today's video sponsor, Underdog. If you like sports and you like winning money, then you've got to be on Underdog playing their pick'em game. Basically, all you do is pick higher or lower on player stats, and if they hit, you can win some big money. And with the NFL season rapidly approaching, they've already got season-long player projections that you could go higher or lower on right now, and they've also got week 1 projections live as well. And if you use my code RAY, R-A-Y, they'll give you up to $1,000 in bonus credit at sign up, and you just can't beat that. Continuing on, the third best thing about College Football 26 is Dynasty Mode. Last year, they set a really good foundation with this, but it did launch with a number of bugs that kind of held it back for a few weeks, and it was missing some really important quality of life things that they've since added this year. They've added formation subs, which is huge for the mode. They've added a trophy room, which a lot of people wanted. They've added a ton of history to the mode so you could see who's won championships and trophies dating back to the beginning of football, pretty much. They've also added the ability to sim to specific weeks instead of jumping ahead multiple weeks, which is a really important thing in my opinion. Combining that with the fact that they've made some good updates to recruiting, like location-based recruiting, dynamic deal breakers, and they've made it a little bit more of a challenge, and the fact that they've unlocked the transfer portal and you have a lot more people entering, which can be kind of annoying at times, but at least there's settings so that you can control how crazy this gets. You put all that together, and Dynasty Mode, in my opinion, is significantly better than it was last year. Number 4, playbooks. Now, this kind of goes hand in hand with gameplay to a degree, and that's one of the reasons I think gameplay is so good this year, because on top of the fact that they still kept a lot of the stuff the same that we liked last year, they've added over 2,800 new plays to the game. Everything from adding more trick plays to more unique motion plays, double motion plays, on top of all of the other plays that already existed. You can get really unique in this game, and I love that about football games. I like sitting in practice mode sometimes and just building schemes, and then taking them online and seeing how good they perform. Even if you're a Dynasty Mode player, you might want to put together a different offense for a team you're building. With the amount of plays that were added, you really can do anything you want on offense, which is awesome. And number 5, the details. From things like teams trying to distract you on the big board while you kick a field goal in an opposing team's stadium, to adding more team-specific turnover celebrations, from adding more specific crowd chants and songs that play after first down, third downs, and touchdowns, from making the snow games look a lot better than last year, to quarterbacks visibly showing their wear and tear while walking to the line. They've nailed a lot of these little things that keep us coming back. Now, that doesn't mean that everything's perfect either. There are still certain things for certain teams that aren't 100% accurate. There's 136 teams in the game. It's going to take some years to nail every single detail for every single team. So no, is every detail perfect? Not at all, but they've nailed a lot of them. Now let's talk about the 5 worst things. Number 1 for me is defense. Defense was kind of rough last year, but it was more of a pursuit thing over anything else last year. This year, it's the pursuit. It's the fact that you really can't catch interceptions anymore. It's crazy. And I know some people complain that there's too many interceptions in these games, but the problem is you got to find the balance. You don't want too many, but you don't want it to be hard to get interceptions as well. I mean, even on the offensive side of the ball, they're dropping the ball a lot on offense too, I think. So it's kind of a both sides of the ball thing when it comes to just dropping it. But it feels really hard to play defense in this game, and maybe it should because that's college football, but I do think there needs to be a little bit of a buff here. I do think man defense is solid. That's the one thing I'll say. I think they did really good improvements with man defense and route committing and route shading. But outside of that, pursuit, dropping tons of interceptions every game that's just consistently thrown into coverage, I just think it needs a little bit of a buff here. Number 2, the same positions in Road to Glory. I didn't want to say Road to Glory as a whole was one of the worst things, which is what I did last year, because I do genuinely think they made some great updates this year. I think the addition of high school was good. I do think they should add the ability to play full games because some people want that. I like the way they implemented high school personally because I don't want to play a full season. You get the moments, but you basically get 4 drives a game, which I think it's not a full game, but it's close enough. 4 drives is still a decent amount per game. But again, I understand some people want more games and they want full games. So give people the options. Games are about options. Let people play the way they want. But the one thing that is holding Road to Glory back is it's still the same positions. And dating back to Madden bringing back career mode years ago, we've been stuck at the same positions now for 3-4 years. This is something that just needs to get better. I'm not saying we need every position. I don't care about offensive line. I don't need to be a punter. I think that's unnecessary personally, in my opinion. But you've got to allow people to play safety. That's just an iconic position for football career mode. You need to bring that back. You need to be able to be a pass rusher. It's one of the most important positions in football. And then after that, I would say maybe tight end. If you could put those 3 in, I think you've kind of covered all of the major bases for what positions people would want to play. Number 3, road to the college football playoff. And it hurts me to put this here because this is genuinely my favorite mode in the game. And some things last year that I didn't love about it, I was able to forgive because it was the first year. But this year, I've got to speak on it. Number 1, we can't change playbooks in the mode. Now, I'm not knocking them too much for this because I know this is an intentional design decision. They want you to play with the team's playbook. That's part of the challenge of the mode. I don't personally like that. I know a lot of people do. That's fine. It's just my opinion. They don't want to see teams like Alabama and Georgia running the triple option. I get it. But like I said earlier, games are about choices. People want choices. People want to play the way they want to play. This is something that I just wish they would consider. If not, you can make it to where you can change playbooks, but maybe it has to be the same style of playbook, right? So some teams run pro style. Some teams have run and shoot. Obviously, the military teams run a completely different style of offense. If they can make it to where you can change playbooks, but it has to be the same style of playbook, I think that would be kind of a nice common ground because you would still be playing the same style of offense with that team, so it wouldn't look crazy. But let's be honest, some playbooks in this game are just way better than others, and some are just more generic. And if your favorite team has one of the more generic playbooks that isn't as creative, even though another playbook that is the same style of offense has way better plays and way more creativity, it just kind of sucks when you want to play with your favorite team. But a big thing for me here is you still can't change uniforms in this mode, and that's something that I just don't understand. College football, that's one of the best things about it, is all the crazy uniforms people wear. They put all these new ones in the game and updates, and we can't wear them in this mode. You've got to change that. And the last thing about this mode is that they added home field advantage, which I wasn't a massive fan of, but I get it. It is realistic. It's part of what makes college football college football. I think the home field advantage in this mode is just a little too intense at times. I should be able to tell my halfback to block. He's standing right next to me. Home field advantage should not affect me telling my halfback to do anything. He is right next to the quarterback. Granted, yes, you shouldn't be able to make multiple hot routes if the home field advantage is going crazy. That I agree with. But one hot route a play, in real life, you can tell the receiver what to do. You're giving him a hand signal. You're not actually yelling out what to do. So I just think this needs to be tweaked. That on top of the fact that if you try to make any last second adjustment with like 5 seconds left on the play clock, your O-line false starts every time. Now, do I have a problem with that happening every once in a while? No, because that's realistic, but it should not happen every single time you try to do something with 5 seconds left, because the defense might make a shift and then you have to shift to match that. You should be able to do that. So I do love the mode as a whole. I just think there's a few things they need to do with it to make it more enjoyable. Number 4, customization. Now, do I think customization is horrible in this game? No, it's solid, but it just needs to be better. It's better than it was last year. I mean, last year you couldn't even edit anything about recruits. You couldn't even edit their number. Now, you know, they've updated that, so that's good. I would say that editing the appearance of recruits would be cool. I get it that they can't allow you to edit both the name and the appearance, because then you could create future NIL prospects, and that could potentially be an issue for them. And I think the reason they allow you to edit the name and not the face is because the average person that's jumping into Dynasty would much rather find a recruit that looks like them and put their name and their player in the Dynasty mode. That's probably why it's like that. But let's be honest, a lot of the recruits can look a little crazy at times, and I think if they could maybe code in a way, if this is possible, where you can go one or the other. If you edit the appearance of a recruit, then it locks their name. If you edit their name, it locks the appearance, unless you change their name back to the original name. That way, people that just want to edit names can do that, and people that want to edit appearances can do that. I think that would be a huge upgrade for Dynasty mode players. And I have to throw in the equipment here, because I know my equipment guys are upset with some of the stuff that wasn't added. Do I think the equipment situation is as bad as some people make it out to be? No, there's a lot of ways you can customize your player. Go back to Madden 5 years ago, it was a lot worse. However, there are still some pieces of equipment that should be in the game because real life players wear them. People want to see one leg sleeves. They want to see updated equipment in other places. And I get to some people, this is silly and they don't think it's a big deal, but you have to understand everybody likes something different about a video game. If you play Road to Glory, you want to make your player look exactly how you want him to look. That's part of the mode. You know, what if players in the game still looked like they were wearing stuff out of the year 2000? They all still had the 2000 style helmets and they were barely wearing any type of accessories. Would it be bad at that point? Like, where is the line drawn? At the end of the day, you want players to look how they look in real life, and there are still some things missing that are holding that aspect of the game back. And another thing I want to throw in there, I'm not knocking the game for this, but something that would be cool in future years is give us the ability to create custom stadiums for our team builder teams. Team builder, I think, actually got great upgrades this year. I think that's one of the areas that customization is good, because we do have generic stadiums at least now. You can upload more logos, you can customize your team's rosters more. So I think in some ways customization did get better, but in terms of recruits, in terms of equipment, in terms of the fact that you really can't create a player outside of Road to Glory, I understand there's reasons for that, but I think you could allow that in ways where you can limit it just enough so you can't perfectly recreate other players. Those things need to be better, but Stadium Creator would be an awesome addition in a future game. And number 5, I have to throw this in there because this is important to so many people. A lot of people will not buy the game if this is not in the game, and you still can't import your roster from Dynasty to franchise mode in Madden. We know why. It's an NIL thing. I don't know all the logistics and the reasonings behind it, but I do know that that is the main reason it's not there. My suggestion for this is similar to the suggestions of other people. You got to try to find a way to make it to where you could at least import the roster once you get past the point of the NIL players being out of the game. If you're playing into your Dynasty 4 years deep, 5 years deep, those NIL players are gone. So if you could make a way to where once you get deep enough into the game that at that point you can import over, I think that would be cool. I don't know what the logistics of something like that is. I'm not really knocking them too much for this because I know that if they could do this without any potential legal ramifications, it would be there. But the fact is, these NIL players, they do not belong to the NFL Players Association, and if you don't, they cannot just import those players over to Madden. They could get into a lot of legal trouble, and then we potentially lose the game again. So I'm not knocking EA for this, but I am putting it on the list because for a lot of people, this is a make or break thing about the game. They will not buy it if this does not exist. Now, if you want to see a side-by-side comparison of College Football 26 versus 25, make sure you check out this video right here on the screen.